is, and I present to you Shawn Moody.
Thank you. I think the most notable part of Patrick's introduction was I'm a Mainer, right? I think everybody can relate to that. Anytime I travel, I've been out throughout, had the opportunity to travel around the country and actually abroad to some degree. As soon as I open my mouth, right, they're like, man, what planet are you from? You know, well, just from Maine. Thank you, Patrick. You probably are. I mean, what's the age? 17, 18? I know Brady, unfortunately, I thought I still had him stuck in high school. He kind of glared at me and said, hey, look, you know, I've moved on from that. Think about what you have accomplished just at this point in your lives. Think about it. You know, the number one employable skill is communication. The ability to communicate, collaborate, and work together. That's what employers are looking for in the 21st century workforce, is people's ability to work together. Because unlike what we see in Washington, what we see, unfortunately, in the state of Maine, business, we work together. If someone has a good idea, we want to work together to make it a great idea. We don't want to shoot it down, we want to build it up. So that's the organizational world that I spent 40 years. I started, ironically, when I was 17 years old. So I was your age. Started a small business in my hometown. Didn't have 2 cents to rub together. I had a lot of passion, had a lot of support. The educators that go in high school didn't know enough to know I didn't really know what I was doing. But they let me work on the vehicles anyway. They kind of entrusted me. Plus I did the work cheap. I think that's really what they wanted. Get it done cheap, you know. So the opportunities that I had afforded to me as, you know, became a small business owner, a taxpayer at the age of 17. I wasn't even old enough to vote. Think about that. You know, but nobody told me no. You know, it was that kind of that inner drive and that support from the community. That's really what makes America, what makes Maine great. Maine's just like one big small town, right? You guys are from all over the state. And I'm sure when you share stories, you're facing the same things, right? In these different school districts and towns. It's just different faces and names. We're all alike. And we face similar challenges. I'm going to start off by being admittedly paternalistic, right? When you look up here, what are you seeing, right? You're seeing like a father figure or, oh my God, it's like parents, you know, transcending down here. Have you heard the statement at home, you've got no idea what it was like when I grew up? You ever heard that? Have you heard, you don't realize, you have no idea how good you got it? Do you ever hear that? Geez, all you do is play on that darn computer. We didn't have computers when I grew up. We used to play outside. So that sound familiar? Or, how about the best one? You wait until you get out into the real world. Is that hit home? Where is the real world? I mean, what solar system, what galaxy, right? They have the Hubble telescope looking out. There's a real world out there somewhere. We're going to get dropped into at some point in our lives. Well, I get news you can take back home. This is the real world. You're in the real world. You live in the real world every day of your life. And the same things that your parents are saying to you is the same things their parents said to them, and you're going to remember this in infamy. You're going to say the same thing to your kids 20 years from now. You wait and see. The reality is, you have so much to offer and so much to give. And you've got, again, such a head start by participating. You know how apathetic the country's become? Seriously. People my age. I know people my age that have never voted. Never voted. Think about that. The basic democratic right? I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want any part of it. Politicians are all a bunch of crooks and bums. The process is flawed. Politics, they don't want to participate. I mean, how's that going to change? How's anything going to get better, right? If we don't participate, if we don't open our eyes, if we don't get involved, we're part of the problem. I'm going to take it back to 2008. That was my lightning bolt. And yours may be different. Maybe it's over time, you want to get involved, but that was my lightning bolt moment. 2008, Citibank, right? You guys remember the Bank of America? I mean, this going back in time. You're students of history. We faced the biggest financial crisis that America has seen since the Depression. And I'm sure you remember your parents sitting at the kitchen table going, am I going to lose my job? Are we going to lose our home? It was a financial crisis that sent a shock across the country. Banks have closed. These are the things that, like Notre Dame has talked about, right? This can't happen in America. What the heck's going on here? Well, we had corporations that had become too big to fail, right? Well, I can tell you in the small business world, you don't make it, there's no bailout package or plan. You're gone. So the government stepped in and said, wow, we can't have people standing on the street starving. We got to help them out. So they made the decision, the conscious decision, to intervene, government intervention. This is my point. The government has the SEC and the FTC that monitor all mergers and acquisitions of big corporations, right? Why is that? Because they don't want companies to create a monopoly. They want America to have free enterprise, free trade, and competition for consumers. That's what makes America strong. So what happened? How did these banks get so big, right? What happened to small credit unions? What happened to small local banks like Bangor Savings or Norway? They weren't doing predatory lending. They weren't lending money that didn't have any money to repay it. Why did they get punished through all this? How come the little guy get hurt? Why do we support and buoy the big ones? Well, I'll tell you why. We've got a group that was kind of spawned out of that crisis called the Tea Party, right? The Tea Party, you can look at it in many different ways, but I think primarily was fiscally driven. The government's too big, the government's bloated, the government's inefficient, the government's too far into our life. Now, on the other side of that, we had the Occupy movement, right? Touting that these big corporations don't care, they're paying nothing for wages, making billions of dollars, fat cat executives get millions of dollars of bonuses, and they laughed all the way to the bank, right? If you look at those opposing opinions and views, and this was my lightning bolt, it's like, guys are fighting the same thing, right? Big government and big corporations are sitting at the same table in Washington. They have lobbyists, they have lawyers, they have resources, they have power, they have money. Working class America, small business America, is trying to grind out a living every week, right? Trying to support our families, trying to sock a couple bucks away for an education. So our children have a better chance maybe than we did. I didn't go to college. It's kind of ironic because I'm the only person in Maine right now to serve on the university system board of trustees and the community college system board of trustees. No one ever had served in that capacity. But I knew those two systems have got to work together. We can't look down our nose at the blue-collar worker in the state of Maine. People that work with their hands like me, working with my hands lifted me out of poverty into prosperity. And people carry that education forward to get their bachelor's degree, to go on and run companies, own companies, run organizations, change things, improve things. So when I look at big corporate America, I'm taking it from me as a small business guy, I don't have any love loss, okay, for the antics and things that have gone on. And the same with government. We're fighting the same, right? This is what's happened over the last 20 or 30 years especially. So let's bring it back to Maine, okay? Let's bring it right back to ourselves right here. And think about the small towns, and think about how you can make a difference at this point in your lives. I just supported, and a lot of people in Gorham supported, Hamza Khan. Hamza is a senior at Gorham High School. Anybody here know Hamza? Right? He worked hard, ran for town council. He didn't make it, but he was only a few hundred votes short. He had like 800 votes in a small town. It's amazing. And he'll be back. So when you look at the small towns, you look at planning boards, look at the school boards, look at the town councils, and the influence that you can have in your own local community, it's pretty amazing. I mean, the process does work, especially at the local level. So when I look at the opportunities, I'm going to wind up with opportunity here now. I'm going to state a couple of facts. This is what's happened in the state of Maine. Guidance counselors, educators, parents, uncles, grandparents have been telling us for decades, look, there's no opportunity in the state of Maine, right? If you really want to get out there and get after it, you need to go chase it. Get out of Maine, okay? The state, for a lot of reasons, okay, they've kind of stereotyped as, median income's low, hard to run a business here, one of the last, right, the toughest to do business, for all those reasons. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of young people listened, and they left. A lot of bright, talented, energetic people left the state of Maine to go chase their dreams. That's great. I think that's great. But for those of us and those of you that love this state and want to stay here and make a mark, I can tell you, this is the best kept secret in the whole state of Maine right now. You will never face another opportunity like we have now to have upward mobility. You know what upward mobility is? Is the opportunity to advance. And you think about, look at me. I am a direct reflection of where the state is. A lot of people 55, 60 years old are going to be aged out, retired, moved on. Somebody's going to run this place. Somebody's going to run these businesses, these organizations. Someone's going to run the state like you folks are running it right now. So the opportunity is now. And for someone that says, hey, you don't know wait till you get out in the real world, here's the reality. You can't live in the past, right? You can't live in the future. All we can live in is now. This is our now. We live only in the present. And it's what we make it, what we choose to make it. Take control of your life. I heard someone say, it was Brady Patrick, someone was going out the door and said, make good decisions, right? We folks hear that a lot, I'm sure. Make good choices, make good decisions. Think of it when you get in your car, right, drive home. Look at the windshield and picture that as life. That windshield's this big, isn't it? How big's the rearview mirror? It's small, isn't it? A rearview mirror is an opportunity to glance back. It's important, right? But you can't drive looking backwards, right? You can't live in the past. Learn from your mistakes. Use your memory and your life's experiences as a resource library. Go to it when you need to get it. Don't do that again, But move forward. Move forward. That's the key. So I just want to say, coming here today, Patrick had the courage to invite me. And again, if you want to run for governor someday, I can tell you a lot of things what not to do. Only receiving 5% of the vote, obviously. If I had to do it again, certainly learn a lot. But I didn't come through that thinking that I failed. I felt bad because I think I let people down that really put a lot of work and effort into the process, into the campaign. That I felt bad about. But we ran a clean campaign. We didn't knock anybody. We didn't try to tear anybody down. We tried to talk about the real issues and what I had for a vision for the state of Maine. So it was an incredible opportunity, an incredible experience. So thank you for letting me come to share a few words, I guess, of my past history. I have tremendous faith in our next generation. I'm sorry we're not leaving it in that good a shape. I'll be honest, I'm going to sugarcoat it. You've got a job, you've got a huge challenge ahead of you. But getting involved, participating, is what's going to make a difference. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.